House comes back tomorrow. The Senate back tomorrow officially. Maybe today. I lost track of them. And we have 6 days left until the government will run out of money and, in effect, shut down.
Yeah, well, taking odds now on the chances of that happening.
Right. It looks like the chances have increased that this might happen. And what I know you've looked at this at Think Progress. What would a government shutdown mean? What can people expect if it does shut down?
That's really the big question, and nobody really knows. The rule of thumb is all non-essential services are on hold. And right now you have in agencies across D.C. hours being wasted, not on the work of the agency, but wasted on writing memos and drafting all kinds of letters, trying to figure out which services will continue, which services will be put on hold, who goes home, and who needs to come in case of a government shutdown. And all of that costs a lot of money. The last government shutdown under Gingrich cost about $2 billion, more than $2 billion. And economists are saying...
Just to figure out, just to kind of...
Just all that extra time, all that strain that's put on the government, all of that combined. Also, of course, you have all the lost productivity because of all those workers are now furloughed. They're staying home. They're not contributing to the economy. They're losing dollars. That's a little harder to calculate, of course. Those are kind of indirect effects.
So let me ask you, for example, does the military, they don't just all drop their guns or something in Iraq, right?
No, that keeps going, is my understanding.
Do they still get paid?
The pay is where it gets tricky. There's some debate, and that's really what Democrats are saying is that and Republicans who fear this shutdown, who are not on Team Cruz, and Team Cruz is so small it could fit into that room over there. They're saying this thing is going to hit the fan for us politically when the first check doesn't come into the families who are here of the soldiers fighting overseas. So. Yeah, it's a big cost. It's a big cost for people, of course, who disproportionately depend on government. Those are the folks who are going to suffer the most.
So let's say the military air traffic controllers stay on the job?
We would hope so.
So this is what they're trying to sort out.
This is what they're sorting out.
National parks.
Oh, that's the first to go. All the museums here in D.C., the national parks,
Smithsonian's
closed.
Boom,
Garbage collection in D.C. stops.
Why in D.C.?
I think it's funded through that appropriation.
Social security checks?
Social security checks, I believe, keep going. That's the one thing that's certain that keeps going.
That does keep going?
That does keep going, yeah. It's my understanding, yeah.
Right. Well, see, this is what this is where I think it's wrong. I think if they're going to shut the government down, then they should shut everything
feel
down.
The pain. Everyone feel the pain.
Oh, no, absolutely. Because that's what a real shutdown is. What the Republicans want is a shutdown that with no pain.
Yes. I think
but there will be pain. That's no doubt about it. But they want to shut them with the least amount of pain, just like they wanted the sequester. I think one of the dumbest things that Obama ever did, frankly, was when with the sequester, the FAA said we're going to have to have some cuts in TSA
deal, yeah,
and it means flight delays and everything. And President Obama said, no, we'll carve out an exception for TSA. The more exceptions they carve out, the worse it is.
Well, this is a slow burn where you begin cutting off some services, but if the shutdown continues long enough, that's where you get into a complete shutdown. And economists are saying any shutdown that's longer for 2 months, a big recession.
Well, I was going to say, then you have the impact, not just a direct impact of I'm a federal employee, I don't get paid, or I don't have to go to work, or I'm a tourist and I can't go. I come to Washington and the Smithsonian museums are closed. But then you've got all this government spending and all this productivity.
Things like interest rates and borrowing from the government,
which
all
shuts
of those
down,
services.
which has to bring the economy crashing down, right?
Yes.
Which is the worst possible impact. And the longer the shutdown lasts, the worse the impact on the economy.
Yeah, it certainly exacerbates, and that's why folks are saying we have 6 days if no deal is reached in 6 days. And I think things are looking better this morning than they did this weekend. And the reason is you have some of these big key Republicans in the Senate breaking ranks with Cruz, his fellow senator from Texas, the senior, we sometimes forget, the senior senator from Texas, John Cornyn, won't back this attempt to filibuster the House bill if it includes Obamacare funding. You have McConnell, who's up for re-election, says, no, I won't shut down the government. So it's unclear how many votes Mr. Cruz has at this point.
It's reported this morning that Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn are whipping votes against Ted Cruz.
It's a very small room, and it's running out of oxygen for him.
So it's Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, maybe the only two.
And I think Rubio.
Is Rubio part of...
He put out a statement yesterday that sounded like he wasn't going to vote for any Obamacare money.
Rand Paul?
Rand Paul's against it, which surprised a lot of people. But he doesn't think that
against what Ted Cruz
is doing. He doesn't think you can get there. You can't get there with the Senate. You can't get there with the president.
The way this is breaking down. What's really happening is Ted Cruz versus the world, just about.
The universe.
Yeah. And after the profile, which we talked about in the last hour in GQ magazine, where he called his fellow Republicans squishes and members of the Surrender Caucus. You mentioned to me, and I just read this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this morning, where they said, we have never supported Obamacare, but this is not the way to go.
And they really called him out for what this really is about. This isn't about Obamacare or helping Americans. Please, this is about building lists, building a national profile, being what, as Ted Cruz sees himself, a great hero for a small number of people, the grassroots and the Tea Party. That's what he's after with all of this. And that's what he's going to get at the end of the day. If he fails, a very small group of people are going to see them as this great outsider crusader, and may give him a national platform to go somewhere from that.
Right. How extreme can you get? Look at Ted Cruz.
Exactly.
That's the answer. Igor Volsky was from Think Progress. Government shutdown looming. Do you think Republicans are crazy enough to do it?